Hello, and welcome to the University Career Center's presentation on career competencies. Today, we're going to learn about career competencies, define what they are, and why they're important. You'll be able to identify your current competencies and also explore areas for growth. Lastly, you'll get an opportunity to understand how to use the competency compass and help you identify activities on campus to help you continue to build your career competencies. Let's get started. So I'm going to have you pause for just a moment, maybe 20 seconds or so, and define in your mind, what is a skill? All right, welcome back. Go ahead and pause again and think about and define what is a competency. Welcome back. Now you're probably thinking, what is the difference between a skill and a competency? Let's go ahead and define that. So a skill is a specific learned ability that you need to perform a given job well. Knowing the skills a person has can help an employer know whether their training has prepared the candidate for a specific workplace activity or what ability the person has to do a specific activity. So here's some examples. Handling accounts, coding, welding, playing a musical instrument, painting, designing marketing, writing tenders, giving an injection, foreign language proficiency, etc. So skills, as you can see, are very specific and narrow. So I'm going to have you pause this presentation again, and I want you to think through all of your experiences that you've had so far, whether here at UNC Charlotte, if you're new to the university, at your previous education, high school, etc., and think through your experiences, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, that have led you to develop specific skills. And think through what those skills are. Go ahead and jot those down. Take about 30 seconds to a minute here, and then come on back. All right, welcome back. Let's move on and discuss competencies. Competencies are a person's knowledge and behavior that lead them to be successful in a job or throughout purposeful work. Skills give the what, while competencies describe the how. How does an individual perform successfully or behave in the workplace to achieve a desired result? Here's some examples of competencies. Thinking critically, communicating well with others, working on a team, using technology effectively, providing leadership to others, demonstrating professionalism, knowing who you are, and being able to work with others in a diverse, equitable, and inclusive space. So competencies, as you can see, are broad in scope and also transferable. So NACE, or the National Association of Colleges and Employers, defines these 8 competencies below as the top areas that employers across all industries value: critical thinking, communication, teamwork, technology, leadership, professionalism, career and self-development, and equity and inclusion. So why are we talking about these, and why does this matter? Why do competencies matter? They matter because they are transferable and they're highly valued in literally every single industry. Focusing on competencies now as a college student will ensure that you're setting yourself up to stand out and confirm that you're prepared for life after graduation. Employers expect their new hires to have these competencies. Using competencies in a career promotes overall well-being, ability to adapt to change, as well as gives individuals a sense of purpose. And employers around the world highly value and look for candidates who have competencies they desire in their organization. So speaking of, and this is taking from the National Association of Colleges and Employers, NACE, from the Job Outlook in 2022, they asked 157 different employers what they would define as one of their top most important competency. And as you can see in the column second from the left, this is how these employers kind of define the career competencies on down. They then were asked to define their employees' proficiency levels for each of these competencies. And as you can see, there's quite a discrepancy. Critical thinking, as an example, is ranked as very, very important, yet the proficiency level of their employees does not quite meet, right, that level of importance. There's definitely a lot of work that they can see their employees need to do on that particular competency. So we bring up this slide to showcase that you have the ability to first and foremost identify competencies that you already have, and also actively work to build upon these competencies so that when you are that employee, right, and you're showcasing your competencies, your skills, your ability to do your job, to work from a purposeful state, you'll be able to hopefully, right, showcase your employer that you have built upon these competencies already throughout your career thus far. And it starts here at UNC Charlotte. So what we're going to do is go ahead and define all of these competencies. And I also want you to start thinking through which of the competencies you feel you can probably showcase to an employer. Think through how you've built them and where you've built them thus far from different experiences in the classroom and outside of the classroom. So we'll start with critical thinking. This will be our first example here. I want you to go ahead and pause this presentation for maybe a minute, minute and a half. Jot down what you think the definition of critical thinking is, and also chew on the idea of critical thinking in general as it applies to your competency level. Do you feel that you can strongly identify critical thinking as a competency or as an area of growth for you? All right, and welcome back. Let's go ahead and define critical thinking. Somebody with a competency in critical thinking can make decisions and solve problems using sound, inclusive reasoning and judgment. This person can gather and analyze information from a diverse set of sources to fully understand a problem. Someone with a competency in critical thinking can proactively anticipate needs and also prioritize action steps. This person can accurately summarize and interpret data and can effectively communicate actions and rationale. They're also able to multitask well in a fast-paced environment. So I'm going to pull up some example interview questions for several of the career competencies. And this is an example question an interviewer might ask you as they're trying to understand your level of critical thinking. The question is, tell me about a time you were faced with a problem or a challenge. How did you approach it and how did you solve it? Moving on to the next career competency, communication. Go ahead and pause this presentation for, again, a minute to a minute and a half. Jot down some ideas on how you would identify and describe communication. And think about whether, again, you feel your competency in communication is pretty strong, or if this is an area that you could work on. Okay, and welcome back. Communication as a competency can be defined as the ability to understand the importance of and demonstrate verbal, written, and nonverbal or body language abilities. A person with a competency in communication can employ active listening, persuasion, and influencing skills. They can communicate in a clear and organized manner so that others can effectively understand. They're also able to frame communication with respect to diversity of learning styles, varied individual communication abilities, and cultural differences. Here's an example interview question regarding communication competency. Tell me about a time you had to persuade someone or a group to do something. What was the situation and how did you handle it? Teamwork. Go ahead and pause this presentation for a minute to a minute and a half and define what you think teamwork truly means. And also identify if teamwork is an area in which you feel pretty strong in and or could use some attention. All right, and welcome back. If you have a competency in teamwork, you're able to listen carefully to others. You're able to effectively manage conflict, interact with, and respect diverse personalities, and meet ambiguity with resilience. You can be accountable for individual and team responsibilities and those deliverables. And a person with a competency in teamwork can exercise the ability to compromise and be agile. This person can collaborate with others to achieve common goals, and they can build strong, positive working relationships with their supervisor and team members or their coworkers. Technology. All right, you know the drill at this point. Go ahead and pause this presentation and define what you think a competency in technology might involve. Also think about whether technology is a competency you feel confident in or is potentially an area for which you can grow and find experiences to gain a little bit more knowledge and background in this area. And welcome back. Let's go ahead and define the competency of technology. This involves the ability to navigate change and be open to learning new technologies, and also the ability to use technology to improve efficiency and productivity of work. A person with a competency in technology can identify appropriate technology for completing specific tasks, and they're also able to quickly adapt to new or unfamiliar technologies. This person can manipulate information, construct ideas, and use technology to achieve strategic goals. And here's a sample interview question from an employer looking to understand your competency in technology. Tell me about a time when you had to adapt to a new technology. All right, leadership. Go ahead and pause this presentation. How would you define a competency in leadership? What does that consist of? And again, think about your own competency in leadership. All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and define what this means. For employers, they're looking for people who are able to inspire, persuade, and motivate both themselves and also others under a shared vision. Somebody with a competency in leadership can seek out and leverage diverse resources and feedback from others to inform direction. And they can also use innovative thinking to go beyond traditional methods. A person with a competency in leadership will serve as a role model to others and can plan, initiate, manage, complete, and evaluate projects. That brings us to our competency in professionalism. What do you believe that a competency in professionalism consists of? And think about your own competency in professionalism. Is it an area you feel confident in, or is it an area of growth for you? Go ahead and pause this presentation. All right, and welcome back. Let's go ahead and define the competency in professionalism, which involves, for example, being present and prepared. A person here would be able to demonstrate dependability. So this means showing up to class on time, reporting consistently and on time for work and to meetings, etc. A person strong in the competency of professionalism can prioritize and complete tasks to accomplish organizational goals. They can consistently meet or exceed goals and expectations. They also have an attention to detail, resulting in few, if any, errors in their work. Career and self-development. Go ahead and define what you think a competency in career and self-development consists of. And again, think about if this is a competency you feel pretty confident in, or again, if it's an area of growth for yourself. Go ahead and pause this presentation for a minute to a minute and a half. And welcome back. Let's go ahead and define a competency in career and self-development. It consists of an opportunity or an ability to show an awareness of your own strengths and areas for development. So self-awareness, right? A person can also identify areas for continual growth while pursuing and applying feedback they've received. They can develop plans and goals for their future career. And a person with a competency in career and self-development can assume duties or positions that will help themselves progress professionally. They are also able to establish, maintain, and leverage relationships with people who can help them professionally. And they're able to seek and embrace development opportunities. Here's an example question from an employer who wants to understand your career and self-development competency. Why are you interested in our company, and why is this position a good fit for you? And finally, this brings us to equity and inclusion. Take a moment to explore what you believe a competency in equity and inclusion would consist of, and also explore whether you feel confident in this competency of equity and inclusion, or again, if this is an area of growth. Go ahead and pause this presentation for a minute to a minute and a half. And welcome back. Let's go ahead and define this competency together. So somebody with a competency in equity and inclusion will seek and use feedback from multiple cultural perspectives to make inclusive and equity-minded decisions. This person will actively contribute to inclusive and equitable practices that influence individual and systemic change. They will advocate for inclusion, equitable practices, justice, and empowerment for historically marginalized communities. They'll seek global, cross-cultural interactions and experiences that enhance your understanding of people from different demographic groups. And this person will keep an open mind to diverse ideas and new ways of thinking. They'll also address systems of privilege that limit opportunities for members of historically marginalized communities. Here's an example interview question. What is your approach to understanding perspectives of colleagues from different backgrounds? Now that we've defined all 8 of the career competencies and definitions, it brings us to the opportunity to explore the competency compass. So this is a resource and a tool on the Career Center's website. You can see the link right here on the page, compass.charlotte.edu. And it helps you find campus activities that you can participate in to strengthen your competencies and prepare for life after UNC Charlotte. So once you've gathered some information, you've maybe found some activities that you want to get involved in, maybe you're already actively involved in an activity, you can actually go to the activity within the competency compass, and you'll see examples of tailored bullet points that you can add on your resume that can help you talk about that experience and articulate them in a professional manner. You'll also see some practice interview questions, kind of like what we saw in the previous slides in this presentation, but that line it specifically to that activity to help you talk about those competencies as it relates to that activity, and how you can express that to an employer. So go ahead and pause this presentation, go to compass.charlotte.edu, and explore for yourself the competency compass. Welcome back. Now that you've been able to explore the competency compass, again, I want you to revisit the 8 career competencies that we've defined today and identify 2 or 3 growth areas for you as it comes to those competencies. The list on the left, again, provides you with a full list of all the career competencies as defined by NACE and employers across the country and across the world. Once you've identified 2 or 3 career competencies, go ahead and pause this presentation again and go back into the compass, compass.charlotte.edu. And I challenge you to find 1 or 2 activities on campus that you can get involved in sometime this academic year to help yourself build and strengthen the competencies that you consider to be growth areas. That brings us to the end of our presentation today. We hope that you'll continue to connect with us on social media at CLT Charlotte Career Center. That's where we will always be updating you with activities and events. And we are located right next to the Adkins Library if you'd like to pop by in person. We have a ton of different resources on our website listed right there on the screen at career.charlotte.edu. And we welcome you in for drop-ins during the academic year from Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with any questions. Thank you so much for choosing this presentation, and we hope to see you in the near future.